Hey everyone, welcome back to Fluent English Pod, where we help you train your mind to think in English and speak fluently. I'm Dave with our co-host Emma. Today, we're diving into a topic that so many of you have asked about: why speaking English can feel so difficult, especially when you're trying to keep a conversation going or when your mind just goes blank. I'm here with Emma, and we're going to break it all down for you.
Hey, we're so glad you're here. Whether you're listening on your way to work, while making dinner, or just winding down for the day, thanks for spending this time with us. Today we'll talk about the reasons behind these struggles, share some relatable examples, and most importantly, give you practical tips to overcome them. So, let's get started without a further ado.
Let's start with the first issue. Why talking in English can feel so hard, especially for non-native speakers. Emma, what do you think is the biggest reason?
I think one of the main reasons is the fear of making mistakes. A lot of people are so worried about grammar, pronunciation, or using the wrong word that they freeze up. For example, imagine you're at a coffee shop and you want to order a latte, but you're not sure how to pronounce latte correctly. Instead of just saying it, you overthink and end up saying nothing or pointing at the menu.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen this happen so many times. The fear of judgment can really hold people back. But here's the thing. Most native speakers don't care if you make a mistake. They're just happy you're trying to communicate. In fact, they might even find your effort endearing.
That's so true. And let's be honest, even native speakers mess up sometimes. I mean, have you ever heard someone say irregardless instead of regardless? It happens, but the difference is native speakers don't let it stop them from talking.
Exactly. So let's talk about how to overcome this fear. Emma, what's your first tip?
My first tip is to practice speaking in low-pressure situations. For example, talk to yourself in English at home. Yes, I'm serious. Stand in front of a mirror and practice ordering that latte. Say it out loud. Can I have a latte, please? Repeat it until it feels natural. This builds confidence without the fear of judgment.
I love that. And you know what? Recording yourself can also be super helpful. When you listen back, you'll notice things like your pronunciation or tone, and you can improve without anyone else hearing you. It's like having a private rehearsal.
Exactly. And once you're comfortable, try speaking with a friend or language partner who's supportive and won't judge you. It's all about taking baby steps.
Now, what if you're really concerned about your accent or pronunciation? Let's say you're not sure how to say latte or espresso correctly. What can you do?
Great question. Here's a pro tip. Use tools like Google Translate or Google's pronunciation feature. Type in the word, click the speaker icon, and listen to how it's pronounced. Then, repeat it out loud. Try it, guys. You'll be amazed at how helpful it is. It's like having a personal pronunciation coach.
That's such a good idea. And honestly, accents are beautiful. They show that you speak more than one language, which is something to be proud of. But if you're worried about being understood, practicing with tools like Google can really boost your confidence.
Absolutely. And remember, the goal isn't to sound like a native speaker, it's to communicate effectively. So, don't stress too much about perfection. Focus on progress instead.
Well said. And one last thing. If you're in a situation where you're really nervous, like ordering food or asking for directions, take a deep breath and remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. Most people will appreciate your effort and might even help you out.
Totally, Dave. And if all else fails, just smile. A smile can go a long way in making communication smoother.
Great advice, Emma. So, to recap, practice in a stress-free environment. Use tools like Google or pronunciation apps to improve pronunciation. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's all part of the learning process.
And remember, every time you push through that fear, you're one step closer to becoming a more confident English speaker. So, keep practicing and don't give up. Now, let's move on to the second issue: why it's hard to keep a conversation going. Dave, what's your take on this?
I think one of the biggest reasons is the lack of active listening. Sometimes we're so focused on what we're going to say next that we don't really listen to the other person. For example, if someone says, "I went to the beach last weekend," and you're already thinking about how to respond, you might miss the chance to ask a follow-up question like, "Oh, what did you do there?" Or, "How was the weather?"
That's such a good point. Conversations are a two-way street, and if you're not actively listening, it can feel like you're just waiting for your turn to talk. It's like you're having two separate monologues instead of one dialogue.
Exactly. And it's not just about missing follow-up questions. When you're not actively listening, you might also miss subtle cues that could help you connect with the other person. For example, if someone says, "I've been really stressed at work lately," and you respond with, "Oh, that's tough." Without asking more, you're missing an opportunity to show empathy and build a deeper connection.
That's so true. And I think another reason conversations stall is because we overthink. We worry so much about saying the right thing that we end up saying nothing at all. For example, if someone shares a story about their vacation and you start thinking, what if I say something boring? Or what if I don't know enough about this topic? You might just nod and smile instead of engaging.
Oh, I've definitely been there. Overthinking can really kill the flow of a conversation. And let's not forget about the fear of awkward silences. A lot of people feel like they need to fill every pause, which can lead to rushed or forced responses.
Right. But here's the thing. Silences are normal. They give both people a chance to breathe and gather their thoughts. In fact, some of the best conversations have natural pauses. It's not a race.
Totally. So, let's talk about how to keep a conversation going without overthinking or stressing about silences. Emma, what's your first tip?
My first tip is to practice active listening. This means really focusing on what the other person is saying instead of planning your response. For example, if someone says, "I just started learning how to play the guitar," don't immediately think, "What should I say next?" Instead, listen and respond naturally. "That's awesome. How's it going so far?" Or, "What made you want to learn?"
I love that. Active listening shows the other person that you're genuinely interested, and it keeps the conversation flowing naturally. Another tip is to use open-ended questions. Instead of asking yes or no questions like, "Did you have a good weekend?" Try something like, "What did you do over the weekend?" This gives the other person more to work with and keeps the conversation going.
Yes, open-ended questions are a game changer. And don't be afraid to share your own experiences too. If someone mentions they're learning the guitar, you could say, "That's so cool. I tried learning the piano once, but I gave up after a week." It's relatable and keeps the conversation balanced.
Great point. Sharing your own stories helps build rapport and makes the conversation more engaging. But remember, it's not about one-upping the other person. It's about connecting.
Exactly. And here's another tip. If you're worried about running out of things to say, try to remember the FORD method: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. These are safe and universal topics that most people enjoy talking about. For example, you could ask, "Do you have any fun plans with your family this summer?" Or, "What's your dream vacation?"
That's such a great framework. It takes the pressure off trying to come up with topics on the spot. And if you're still feeling stuck, you can always comment on your surroundings. For example, if you're at a networking event, you could say, "This venue is amazing. Have you been here before?" It's simple, but it works.
Totally. And don't forget, it's okay to admit you're nervous or that you're not sure what to say next. For example, you could say, "I'm really bad at small talk, but I'd love to hear more about your job." Being honest can actually make the conversation more authentic and relatable.
That's such a good point. Vulnerability can be really powerful in conversations. And finally, don't stress too much about awkward silences. If there's a pause, take a deep breath and use it as an opportunity to think of something meaningful to say. Or just smile and let the other person take the lead for a bit.
Absolutely. Conversations are a team effort, not a solo performance. So don't put all the pressure on yourself to keep it going.
Well said. So, to recap, practice active listening, use open-ended questions, share your own experiences, and don't be afraid of silences. And remember, the goal is to connect, not to impress.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. So keep putting yourself out there and don't be too hard on yourself. Every conversation is a learning opportunity. Finally, let's talk about why your head might feel cloudy when you're speaking. This is something I have personally struggled with, especially when I'm nervous.
Same here. I think this happens because our brains are trying to do too many things at once. Thinking of the right words, translating from our native language, and worrying about how we sound. For example, if someone asks you, "What do you do for fun?" and you start thinking, "How do I say hiking in English? Wait, is it hiking or trekking?" Your brain gets overloaded and everything feels foggy.
That's such a relatable example. And it's even worse when you're under pressure, like in a job interview or a presentation. I remember once I was giving a presentation and my mind just went blank. I couldn't remember a single word, even though I had practiced 100 times.
Oh, I've been there too. It's like your brain just shuts down and you're left standing there, hoping the ground will swallow you up. But here's the thing. That cloudy feeling is completely normal, especially when you're learning a new language or speaking in a high-pressure situation.
Absolutely. And I think another reason our heads feel cloudy is because we're trying to be perfect. We want to use the right grammar, the right vocabulary, and the right pronunciation, all at the same time. It's like trying to juggle too many balls, and eventually they all come crashing down.
That's such a good analogy. And the truth is, no one expects you to be perfect. Most people are just happy you're trying to communicate. So here's a practical tip. Simplify your thoughts. Instead of trying to say something perfectly, focus on getting your main idea across. For example, if you can't remember the word hiking, you could say, "I like walking in the mountains." It's not perfect, but it gets the point across, and that's what matters.
I love that tip. And another thing that helps is to practice mindfulness or deep breathing before speaking. For example, take a few deep breaths before you start a conversation or presentation. This helps calm your mind and reduces that cloudy feeling.
Yes, deep breathing is a game changer. And remember, it's okay to take a moment to gather your thoughts. If you need a second to think, just say something like, "Let me think about that for a moment." People will appreciate that you're taking the time to respond thoughtfully.
Totally. And here's another tip. Prepare some go-to phrases or sentences that you can use in different situations. For example, if you're at a networking event, you could prepare a few sentences about your job or hobbies. This way, you're not starting from scratch every time, and it reduces the mental load.
That's such a good idea. Preparation can really boost your confidence. And don't forget, practice makes perfect. The more you speak, the more comfortable you'll become, and that cloudy feeling will start to fade.
Exactly. So, to recap, simplify your thoughts, practice mindfulness, prepare go-to phrases, and don't be afraid to take a moment to think. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone does.
Now, let's explore some difficult words, their meanings, and examples of how to use them. This will help you expand your vocabulary and feel more confident when speaking.
Great idea. Let's start with the word ephemeral. This word describes something that lasts for a very short time. For example, the beauty of a sunset is ephemeral, but it leaves a lasting impression.
Nice one. Next up is serendipity. It means finding something good by chance. For example, running into an old friend at the airport was a moment of serendipity.
That's such a beautiful word. And finally, let's look at resilient. It means being able to recover quickly from difficulties. For example, despite facing many challenges, she remained resilient and never gave up. These are such great words to add to your vocabulary. Try using them in your conversations, and you'll sound more confident and articulate.
Now, let's have some fun with words. We've prepared a little exercise to get your creative juices flowing. Here's how it works. We'll give you a word, and you have to come up with the funniest or most creative sentence using that word. Ready?
Let's start with the word banana. Comment below with your funniest or most creative sentence using the word banana. For example, I slipped on a banana peel and accidentally invented a new dance move.
That's hilarious. Next up is the word penguin. What's the funniest sentence you can come up with? For example, the penguin tried to fly but ended up starting a new trend in belly sliding.
I can't wait to see what you come up with. And here's a bonus challenge. Use both banana and penguin in one sentence. For example, the penguin slipped on a banana peel and declared it the new national sport of Antarctica.
That's gold. We'll read some of your comments in our next video, so get creative and have fun with it.
So, to wrap it up, speaking English can feel difficult because of the fear of mistakes, trouble keeping a conversation going, and that cloudy feeling in your head. But with practice, active listening, and simplifying your thoughts, you can overcome these challenges.
And don't forget to expand your vocabulary with words like ubiquitous, ephemeral, serendipity, and resilient. Plus, have some fun with our word exercise. We can't wait to see your creative sentences.
Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tips on improving your English skills. See you next on the next episode on Fluent English Pod.